Well, I am back. I just resolved whatever problem I saw, and I'm going to pray for our broadcast, read a public service announcement, and then I'll go to my topic for this morning. We want you to know that you can receive your free COVID-19 vaccine or booster. Where? Right here, Global Ministries Christian Church, 670 Washington Street in Dorchester, Massachusetts. That's right, 670 Washington Street in Dorchester, Mass, zip code 02124. When? Well, you can receive your free COVID-19 vaccine or booster on Saturday, February 26th. Saturday, February 26th, that's this coming Saturday, starting at 10 a.m., provided by the Dimmick Center, Pfizer for ages 12 and up, and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines offered for ages 18 plus. Bring a friend, earn a gift card, free raffle ticket with the entry. Organizations for Health and Wealth are one of the sponsors. The BMA 10-Point Coalition is also a sponsor, along with Boston Praise Radio, Global Ministries, supported by the CDC Foundation. So again, Saturday, February 26th, that's this Saturday, 10 a.m., COVID-19 vaccines or a booster right here at Global Ministries Christian Church, and we are proud to be able to sponsor this event on behalf of the community here at the Global Ministries Christian Church and also Boston Praise Radio and TV. There is a story that is in the Christian magazines. You're not going to see it in the Globe or the Herald as of yet. And it's a story about a friend of mine, Marvin Daniels, who was a speaker at Gordon College. So let me say for the record, I graduated from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, which is just up the road from Gordon College. I spent a lot of time on the Gordon College campus. My friend Dan Janney graduated from Gordon College. I graduated from Berkshire Christian College. And he was there speaking. He was supposed to speak 4 times. He spoke once. And then he was asked not to continue his speaking commitment. And there are 3 stories that have come out about this from Christian magazines and periodicals, and I'd like to read one of them to you, for you, and then talk about this a little bit. Why would Gordon College invite a black man to their campus to talk about Christian life, to talk about a number of issues, and then after the first speech say, you cannot speak for the rest of the week, because he had 4 speaking opportunities. He did one. They said you will not be allowed to continue to speak. So the other 3 speeches were actually done by somebody else. The article that I'm looking at is coming from the Boys Report. Their slogan is reporting the truth and restoring the church. Reporting the truth and restoring the church. Gordon College cancels speaker after misogynist and transphobic comments sparked student protests. And this was written by Josh Shepard. Gordon College in Wenham, Mass. This week canceled 3 speaking engagements with a speaker who sparked student protests for his alleged misogynist and transphobic comments. The speaker, Marvin Daniels, an ordained minister and executive director of the Hope City, spoke in chapel at the Evangelical School on Monday. According to the Gordon's student publication, The Gordon Review, Daniels was scheduled to address the school in 3 more sessions as a part of a Deep Faith Week, but those were canceled after students objected to Daniels' chapel address on social media and announced a walkout. During the chapel talk, Daniels addressed issues of gender, sexuality, affirming the categories of male and female, then speaking about what he called a culture of chaos. Then, speaking about what he called the culture of chaos, Daniel added, "We got individuals that say, I feel like I'm a female, and they get a chance to participate in female activities. Back in the day," this is Daniel speaking, "I wish that would work. I would have been saying, I feel like a female so I can get into the girls' locker room. Come on now," he said. Daniels also addressed issues relating to dating and premarital sex, stating, quote, "It's amazing to see that even in the church, my Christian brothers are out there treating young ladies like they're urinals, and I'm concerned about that," end of quote, he said. He added, quote, "And I'm concerned about my Christian sisters who dress like their desserts on a menu, and then they get upset when a brother wants to place an order." During the service, students began to react via social posts. Quote, "Who does he think he is?" end of quote, asked one student on Instagram with the moniker Gordon Gossip Girl. Another account at Elena Gordon College posted detail of a student rally in solidarity with women and the LGBTQA plus community. Quote, "Traumatized by the degrading statements made in chapel this morning," end of quote. It was planned for Daniel's session that evening. A student stated, quote, "We believe the words of Daniel chose to make his point were hateful to both women and trans community as well as many others. We want to show Gordon that they cannot continue living and inviting someone who will spread more hate than love," end of quote. Shortly after the chapel address, Gordon College President Michael Hammond emailed the student body to say he would personally address them in a session that evening, but Daniels would not. Billed as a closed-door meeting, details of Hammond's evening talk have not been reported. However, Daniels did not return to the chapel platform for the rest of the week. Following the evening session with Hammond, the student solidarity rally proceeded as planned. According to a source on campus, more than 100 students participated, nearly half of those who attended the evening chapel. The past week's events at Gordon College, and again, Gordon College is a Christian school. It's a very conservative evangelical Christian school. The past week's events at Gordon College reflects larger rifts among Protestant Christians. In recent years, entire denominations have formed the Anglican Church in North America or are preparing to split the United Methodist Church over differing views of gender and sexuality. Evangelicals also have expressed opposing views on the Me Too movement and what constitutes misogynist behavior. Student editors, the Gordon Review, sought to model Christian unity and speak helpful dialogue by issuing a conciliatory statement. They acknowledge, quote, the hurt and the strong emotions responses felt by many members of the community, end of quote. The editorial continued, his comments on women at worst constituted victim blaming, and at best were a badly worded perspective on Christian modesty, end of quote. Similarly, Ann Polk, executive director of Restored Hope Network and a frequent speaker on gender and sexuality issues to Christian audiences, criticized Daniels. use of the crass language, end of quote, and his approach to discussing sexual desire. Quote, men and women are both responsible for their own temptations and responses to them, end of quote, stated Polk via email. Quote, to shift blame to someone else is one of the oldest errors in human history, end of quote. Regarding issues of identity and transgenderism, the student's editorial decried how Daniels commented, quote, seemed to play into irresponsible stereotypes that infer trans identity individuals are sexual predators, end of quote. However, Polk defended the points that Daniel made on these topics. Quote, the person dealing with sex incongruent feelings deserves compassion, yet respect and compassion do not call for recalibrating reality, end of quote, she stated. Citing scripture passages including Psalms 139 and Jeremiah 1, Paul contended that, quote, Christianity assumes sex identity is tied to biological reality as God ordained it, end of quote. Daniel's chapel remarks reference in passing the current clash playing out at the NCAA, which sets rules for many colleges' sports participation. While NCAA rules currently allow a transgender swimmer to compete in the women's category, recently revised policies of Olympics affiliated USA swimming deters the option. The student editorial stated that Daniel's, quote, inappropriate, quote, remarks should not go unaddressed. Yet the editorial also said, quote, in all the outrage, it is dangerous to err on the side of cancel culture, end of quote, and urge inviting Daniels back to address the student body, quote, in the most inappropriate manner or appropriate manner possible. The report that I'm reading right now, this periodical's team reached out to my friend Daniels and to Gordon Collins, but did not receive any replies by publication time, and they have a transcript of Daniel's complete address attached to this article that I'm reading. Now, I know Marvin Daniels. I met him over 40 years ago when I was a youth pastor at 12th Baptist Church in Roxbury, and he was a youth pastor at a church in Cambridge, and we did a lot of sharing with each other in our ministries. His young people, my young people, worked with each other. I spoke at his church, he spoke at my church, and I know of his work. The Hope Center where he is now, he's working with young people, and quite frankly has been quite effective in working with them. He has received hundreds of cards and letters of support from people around the country who know him and are shocked at the response of the students at Gordon College. I have not read the entire transcript of what it is that it is alleged by the LGBTQA plus community. I do know him, and from my perspective, he would not intelligently and he would not aggressively, he would not knowingly attack the gay or lesbian community the way that this article has inferred, or the way that the students are talking about him, because this is the first time they've met him. And I wish that Marvin could have had an opportunity to speak with the students who were protesting him, because that would have given him an opportunity to speak directly to their concerns, and also it would have allowed him an opportunity to ask them questions and them to ask him questions, because I believe that this issue could have been resolved. Again, the article that I just read was in the Rose Report. There are an electronic media that it says reporting the truth and restoring the church. It's a Gordon College. It's up. They were talking about Gordon College, the fact that they canceled a speaker, Marvin Daniels, after misogynist and transphobic comments sparked student protests there on the campus. I am concerned about what happened at Gordon College. I am concerned because I know Marvin Daniels very well. He is a friend. We have talked together. We've laughed together. We've talked about different issues and crises that I've gone through and also that he's gone through. And so the way they're painting him in these periodicals, it's not the Marvin that I know. And I think that when he was speaking, for example, let me just take myself for example. I have not accepted many speaking engagements for many years. I decided to stay here at this microphone and talk from this microphone and give other people an opportunity to talk from these microphones. And so I have declined many invitations that have come my way, which means that if I was on a Christian or secular campus talking, I, quite frankly, would not really know or understand the audience, as it has changed over the years that I have not been out on the speaking circuit. And before I speak for any audience, I ask the people who are inviting me something about what they expect from me, something about the audience that I'll be speaking to. And I'm very careful what I say because I know the culture is changing. The youth culture is changing. The young adult culture is changing. And there are a lot of things that I probably could have gotten away with saying to my youth group when I was a youth pastor because they understood me and loved me and that they would allow me to speak to their lives even if they didn't like it. I know that we have to be very careful when we're speaking on these college campuses and speaking to these different groups. We have to be careful because we do not know, in some instances, we do not know the communities that we are going to speak to because the culture has changed, society has changed, and things that I probably would have said to my youth group and that I could have gotten away with many years ago, I probably couldn't get away with it today. And so I'm sorry that my friend Marvin is going through all of this, that these reporters are calling him and asking him for quotes, and he has not really spoken to the news media. And it's my understanding that the president at Gordon College hasn't spoken to the media. These are just the students who are speaking to the media, and they're using their media as a way to write about what happened at Gordon College. And I see a picture of Marvin at the Gordon College chapel speaking, and I see 4 students standing behind him, and they all have signs on, and it just says "Right with God." I don't know what that means, but I do know that the Gordon College students have posted a lot of statement about my friend Marvin Daniels on Instagram. So I'll be looking at Instagram today to see if I can find a little bit more. The question is my friend Marvin Daniels a misogynist? I don't think so. Is he homophobic? I don't think so. I don't believe he is. That's not the Marvin that I know. I know that when he speaks, he doesn't bite his tongue. I know he uses humor. I know he usually knows his audience because he's spoken all over the country. and he's spoken in many diverse venues, and this has never happened to him before. So what they're saying about my friend is not true. And I'm going to reach out to some of these newspapers and periodicals. I'll reach out to the president at Gordon and give him an opportunity to speak to us and make some comments about what happened at the chapel, because we need to hear from the president. What is he going to do? How is he going to address the students? Because the cancel culture says that if you say something that I do not believe in or I do not support, I have a right to just say you can never speak again. You can never be on my campus again. You can never be in my church again. I can cancel you right out. I could say no to you. And I don't think that that's always the way to handle some of these things. It's my understanding that Marvin had offered to speak to the students. I thought that that would be a great idea to speak to them while he was on the campus. That was declined, the offer. And so when he left, now he's back at his place of employment, and now people want him to speak to the students. But if I was him, I wouldn't fly back. Too much has happened since then, and I just think that it would go the wrong way. It would be a very negative twist. So I want to say to Gordon College, I'm sorry that this happened. I'm sorry that the students revolted. I'm sorry that the students protested my friend Marvin Daniels. I'm sorry that my friend Marvin Daniels had to go through this. He's not the person that they are painting him. I know him well enough to know that if those students had said yes to talk, if they were not so angry and had said yes to talking to him while he was on the campus, Marvin would have taken his jacket off, sat down with them. He would have apologized for anything that he said that offended the students. He would have apologized, and then he would have wanted to hear more from them. And maybe that could have been a tremendous learning opportunity for Marvin and a tremendous learning opportunity for the students. But that's not what happened. Cancel culture said he could not speak. And so not being able to speak, Marvin just decided, and I would have done the same thing. He left the campus, got on a plane, and flew back to the Hope Center. So I think that's about all that I have on this issue. You'll be hearing more about this issue because I know some of the people that have worked at Gordon College over the years. I know some of the people who are working at Gordon College today. And again, Christian colleges are 100% different today than they were when I was on the campus. There are so many different organizations and groups that have cropped up on the Christian college campuses that would have never come into being 25, 30 years ago. So things are changing in the Christian world, especially on the evangelical campuses. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these campuses continue to grow as it relates to these issues that are cropping up on their campuses. Carla, go ahead. You're live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
But cancel culture is not just an external situation. Cancel culture has come to Boston Praise Radio. I don't know if you.
How so?
I don't know if you were listening to the Manlio broadcast of Saturday with myself and Jamal Crawford.
Yeah. Yes, I did, as a matter of fact. I was listening to the broadcast.
And he called for my removal. He even tried to get the engineer to take me off the air because he did not like what I was saying or didn't feel as though I had a right to say what I was saying. So cancel culture just seems to be prevalent even on the local basis. Now, to the credit of the hosts, Brother Larry, and they didn't, of course, allow that or order me to be removed. But this is an issue that just seems to me to be that if you cannot intellectually handle a conversation or intellectually handle a truth, or just don't like the person saying something, rather than try to figure out an intelligent way, let's just cancel them. So cancel culture has come to Boston Praise Radio, but luckily Boston Praise Radio has more integrity than to succumb to such a thing, at least as far as I know. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm on my way. That's a joke.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
So, and I'm going to, of course, address this on my broadcast when I get there. Lord stay the same.
Okay, we while you're talking, we actually have another caller calling in. Let's bring this person.
Well, let's just
caller. Go ahead. You're live on the air.
Well, if you say my name, there I am in the midst of things.
Very good.
So unfortunately, what's happening here is, it's just a mischaracterization. So first of all, if you don't like somebody or you don't have an intellect, it's not that I don't like Pastor Dan. Certainly not that I can't muster an intellectual retort for some of the things he said. My problem, quite simply, is not that he doesn't have a right to say things or I don't like it or whatever. It's that he says things that are factually incorrect. And when you're saying
but that's not for you to say.
No.
You can say it for yourself, but to call for my removal from the air is cancel culture.
Okay.
And that's what we're talking about right now. Did you or did you not try to have the engineer take me off the air?
You hear this guy. So one, I think you're exaggerating and you're making it more of a thing than it is, cancel culture. Do I feel as though that you should be on the air? No, I don't. That's an actual feeling, and I express that feeling.
Did you call for my removal? Or did you tell the engineer to take me off the air?
Stop. Stop with this exaggeration. I said,
did you do that?
What you want? It's a yes or no. It's not a yes or no. I'll answer the question how I want to. Would you relax, sir?
Yeah.
So as I said,
finished it.
Yeah. So as I said at the time, I said, Hobbs, cut that man off because you were doing what you just were attempting to do now. You just kept talking over, not just me, but anyone. And when you call into these shows, not just Pastor Walls, but Man Leos and all this, sometimes I feel like a referee because you have a tendency to take over and dominate. Several times on that broadcast, you cut Larry off and Dr. Bradley both. Oh, no, stop. No, let me finish. No, stop. And I don't know if you know that your tone is unpleasant, but also, too, the fact that what you're trying to assert and what the information that you're trying to get out is also incorrect. Now, you say that I can't say it's incorrect, but no, in fact, I can, because facts, they don't bend to my will or to your will. Facts and reality is facts and reality. And many times you have distorted the reality. And my concern, as I've expressed with Pastor Wall, whose radio waves all this is going out on, as I've expressed, my concern is confusing the general public. I'm not confused, but the general public could be confused by some of the statements that you make, which do not pan out in reality.
Pastor Dan?
Okay. Well, let's see where to start. The statements that I make are as I see them, which is why I'm on the air in the first place, because my take, my perspective is unique at best. At worst, it's contrarian. It is who I am. It is who I've become, and it's somebody I embrace. There are times when it's okay to be the stone that the builder rejects. Not a problem. I've been that all my life. I'm just embracing it now. Now, in terms of my facts and things that I say, actually they are. I don't just get on the, and also this concept of, I think you use the word spew, that I spew information. Well, as you can see, I don't. I talk. When we have our discussions, I try to keep it as high a level as possible, but you seem to be the one that never wants to see anything good or positive or correct in what I say. But that's okay. We're different personalities, and I accept that. But I also made an offer to you to come on to my broadcast, and we can have a conversation, man to man, and I would have my quote-unquote facts, and you could have your quote-unquote facts, and let the people decide. You see, this other thing about telling the people that they're not smart enough to figure out what the truth is. If I say something that's contrary or confusing to the public, I give the public way more credit than you appear to. I would rather them go through and do their research and come up and say, okay, yeah, well, he is right or he is wrong. You don't seem to think that that's a valid way of talking. Well, okay, we differ.
Well, you do a lot of projection, so you constantly tell me what I'm like and what I think and what I do, and you couldn't be more incorrect. So I do know, in fact, that people are smart, and in fact, that's why many people have a problem with the things that you say. They might not tell you as directly or frankly as I do, and that's their own, thing that they have to deal with internally. But no, for me, when I hear something wrong, it's put on my heart to address it. And so, for instance, as you say, you gave me the offer to get on your show. Thank you. Very gracious of you. But as I said, I have no interest in that because unlike, what you seem to think, the issue is not you. I only talk about you or have to deal with you when I'm listening to the radio and you say something that takes it somewhere else. And I feel duty-bound to call in and check these facts because just for instance, if I didn't call in just then, you would have had a whole listening audience thinking Jamal just hates you and he's just attacking you and calling for your dismissal on the air. And it's just not true. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I don't believe in letting these type of things slide. I have no interest in debating you. In fact, one of my elders, rest in peace, Dr. John Henrik Clark, said I only debate my equals. All others I teach. So there would be no point for us to engage in a debate about things when I'm already telling you don't have facts. So why would I sit there and what are we going to debate? Is Trump a good guy or was Trump a good president? I have no interest in that.
Well, let me do this because I've got to get ready for the next broadcast. This can be discussed on Pastor Dan's time. I've heard enough. I've heard enough of my time. Jamal, with reference to what I was talking about earlier about Gordon College, I'd like to. I can't do it right now, but I'd like to talk with you about it. I just need your thinking about what I was talking about.
Well, actually, very briefly, let me just say this. For all evangelical Christians, whatever structure folks may come in under this country, one of the ugly things underneath it all is, in fact, racism. And for us to think, racism is in the world, but somehow it didn't seep into the walls of the church and these institutions is just silly. So a lot of these Christian colleges and whatnot are not only like, ooh, is there a little racism in there? No, but these are bastions of racism where oftentimes some of the white supremacy teachings that, were manipulated in the Bible, for instance, the curse of Ham and, the Hamitic curse and all this, these type of things were propagated throughout these institutions. So we have to be very careful about all of our quote-unquote Christian higher education and centers of learning, because I think that we'll find that is one of the last bastions of racism in the educational system.
Thank you to Jamal. We'll talk. And Pastor Dan, I'll call you in just a second about your broadcast today. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Good morning.
Okay. This is Pastor Bruce Worley listening to Morning Inspiration. And you know what? That's why I appreciate the fact that we have this radio, this forum, because it's an opportunity for all of us to grow, but also to interact with each other as what we just heard. It's an opportunity for us to figure out, for example, I guess one of the comments was made that people can listen to a broadcast and then determine or discern what the truth is or what it's not. And that's not really true. A lot of people will listen to something, and just because it's in the paper or just because it's on radio or TV, people accept it as truth, and a lot of people will not challenge what's being said. So that's why we have to be as accurate as we can be when we're talking. People call me, and my wife will call me or text me while I'm on the air, and she'll check me regarding anything that I might be saying that may not be correct. So we're getting ready for our next broadcast, so stay there. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back with more here on Boston Praise Radio and TV.
And even though they had seen,
you're the reason why my life